Is it a good thing when a mechanic crew rushes to your plane after you land? After landing in Jabalpur and learning some important information, like keep your children away from the conveyor belt, we were whisked away in cars that would take us to the Tiger Den Resort, just outside of Bandhavgarh National Park. Even though I was going on very little sleep, I had no problem staying awake for the 4-hour drive. My eyes were set on looking outside for the 1 in a million chance of seeing a tiger or a leopard in these parts cross the road. And before you know it, our drive was over.
Alright. Finally made it to Tiger Den. And sleep for a few hours, get right back up, and finally get into the park and look for tigers. This has been a long day.
The long day turned into a very short night, as we had to be up at 5 a.m. to get ready to go into the park. At least we weren't the only ones up at this hour. My excitement is building as we drive towards the Tala Gate. Once the sun woke up, we were finally let into the park. It has been 5 long years since I last passed these gates, and now it's tiger time. But this sign reminds me that there will be all sorts of wildlife to look out for besides the tiger. You might say I'm my happiest when I'm out on safari looking for wildlife. Now the park looks a lot different to me than my last visit. Since I'm here now after the rainy season, it's a lot fuller. A lot more plant life, which will make it harder to spot animals. But already we are coming up on some deer, some spotted deer. And already I'm taking some blurry pictures. The core area of the park is over 40 square miles, and we'll only cover a very small portion of that on the roads in our zone. And when we stop to listen for alarm calls, there always seems to be something around, like this little group of macaques here. The drivers know people come here for the tiger, so there's a lot of driving around in pursuit of that animal, more so than on an African safari where you're just casually looking at lots of wildlife. And what do we have here? Some fresh tiger tracks. Well, that's a very good sign, and a good way to start the day. Up ahead, let's join a group of jeeps who heard an alarm call. Let's listen in. Let's check out some other wildlife, like this samba deer. Large deer like this can weigh well over 1,000 pounds, so you have to respect the size of these amazing animals. Up near some trees we can see a much smaller animal, a little scope owl. This little guy is well at home in this tree waiting for some insects to come along. As we continue on, we find a bird that you often see at zoos walking around, but this one here is out in Tigerland. A peacock. People sometimes forget that these large birds can fly. Check that out. It's nice to see the relationship animals have with one another, like these monkeys hanging out with some deer. They each rely on each other to make the alarm call when they sense the tiger is near. Speaking of tigers, we return to that same spot where the alarm calls were heard earlier. Still nothing. This here is a langur, another primate that inhabits the forest. Coming out of the covers of the tree is the largest animal in the jungle, the elephant. It's coming right at us. While our driver talks to the mahout, it gives me a chance to take a LE selfie. And also a picture of his feet for the pudding back home. Well, as the mahout goes out looking for the tiger, we'll grab a quick bite to eat at the resting spot located in the park. A little food in the morning is good. And although not a wild animal per se, this dog has no problem sniffing out the tourists. We learned at the rest spot that one jeep did see a tiger, a female named Spotty. She has some youngsters with her. Even though we want to be the jeep that sees the tiger, it is at least reassuring that someone is seeing them in the park today. So let's head back out and try our luck. This forest is thick. As we stop to listen for some calls, these macaques again made themselves known. These primates are very social and they live in large family groups with distinct pecking order on who gets to eat first. but the vegetation is full, so everyone, including these little ones, seem very happy and full today. From afar we can see some movement. It isn't another elephant, but rather some GAUR. The tallest of all cattle species. These large wild cows per se were reintroduced to the park right before my first trip here 5 years ago. At that time only 5 were brought over from Ghana. I didn't see any, but now the reintro program looks to be a success, because look at all these animals now. What massive creatures. Reintro programs are happening all over the planet. It is a shame that humans have taken over so much land and we've hurt lots of animal populations. But a lot of people care enough to do all we can to preserve the parks and the animals that live in it. Reintro programs are always tricky, as there are many factors you have to consider before moving animals from one place to another. But this one seems to be working out just fine. Any tiger would have a hard time bringing one of these guys down. We have been enjoying watching them so much that we're forgetting that we need to get out of the park by 11 a.m. or we could get in trouble for staying past the morning drive time. Let's hold on. Talk about just making it. Well, no tigers for us, but there will be many more drives to come. For more information, please read this video's description. And thanks for watching. Namaste.